Christ, till 9 p.m., Thierry! So not a win, but not bad. I think that's how I would sum up Saturday's game at BMO Field between Toronto FC and the New York Red Bulls, Thierry Henry, Kenny Cooper and company. More about those two guys in particular a little bit later on. How you doing, everybody? Tim here once again, coming to you on Sunday after TFC's draw last night against the New York Red Bulls at BMO Field. Mariner ball. It seems that we're figuring out what Paul Mariner is doing, and it's not rocket science as he's been preaching, and has a lot of Aaron Vinter detractors, I think we're saying, for a long time. Mariner ball, if it's to be categorized, is more organized, less pretty, for want of a better term, more pragmatic, obviously much more effective, at least over the short time, and it seems to be giving the team a chance to win. You're not going to win every game, but the entire point, I think, when you're a struggling team, is to try and tighten things up at the back, take your chances when they're given to you, and try to remain competitive. And I think undeniably Toronto's been doing a good job on specifically staying in games, other than the 2-0 in Kansas City, which was Mariner's first game. And I'm for one willing to give him a bit of a mulligan on that one. The Reds have been reasonably competitive in every game since he took over for Aaron Vinter. The midfield, I think, is the one area where the team has actually improved the most. It's probably a bit of an unsung role, but I talked about it in my last video blog. The way that the midfield is actually playing, and I think part of it has to do with the formation as well, with that extra body in the middle of the park. They're really tightening things up. They're allowing teams that have possession, disallowing teams, I should say, that have possession of the ball, as many free looks and as free passes in on the Toronto defense. I can't remember the last time I've seen under Paul Mariner one of those big looping balls going in over the top of the midfield, like it used to be, like it seemed it used to be happening all the time under Aaron Vinter, game after game after game. That doesn't seem to be happening right now. Kind of helps as well that your designated player striker, Danny Kuverman, seems to be finding his goal-scoring touch as well. That's, if you're counting, that's 7 goals in 7 games for Danny K. A goal a game is an excellent scoring rate in Major League Soccer. This year, I think Chris Wondolowski for San Jose is actually ahead of that pace. But amortized over a full 34-game season, you don't see too many players in Major League Soccer scoring 34 goals. I'm not saying Danny Kuverman is going to score 34, but usually the Golden Boot winner in this league is in the 20 to mid-20s range. So if you've got a player at least over the short to medium term that's actually scoring a goal a game, that's about as good as it gets in this league, and that gives you a chance, if you tighten things up at the back, which they've been doing, to be more competitive. Julian de Guzman was arrested. I think he had a well-deserved rest. He's been an absolute beast for this club over the last 7 or 8 games. He came on as a sub late. Torsten Frings, Eric Avila, Reggie Lamb, and particularly I thought Terry Dunfield were excellent again. Dunfield did a really good job on cutting down on any space that some of the more creative players for New York, like Cooper and Henry, offensively, usually thrive upon. Dunfield did a really good job on shutting down a lot of that space yesterday. So keeping 2 TFC killers off the score sheet, and those killers obviously are Thierry Henry and Kenny Cooper. Cooper, when he was with Dallas, absolutely obliterated TFC. I think he's probably him and Juan Pablo Angel are probably the guys that have scored the most goals against Toronto FC over our history. I think both of them are over 10 goals in their history playing against Toronto, either away or at BMO Field. So keeping a guy like that off the score sheet and keeping an undeniable talent like Thierry Henry off the score sheet as well is a real accomplishment. And also making sure that they don't get their heads down after an early goal. Conceding a goal after 3 minutes is like, oh God, here we go again. But literally getting that goal back off of Kuverman's header from a Frings corner within 60 seconds speaks, I think, to what Paul Mariner is doing as well. Their heads are up. I think the team feels that they're much more competitive right now than they were under Aaron Vinter and the style of play that he was forcing them to play. Excuse the noise in the background, by the way. Looks like the neighbors are up to a couple of things. I want to finish off with 2 things. One, the Reds have another game in Dallas in a few days against a team that's actually taken a few steps back this year in FC Dallas. The last time the Reds were in Dallas was for the Champions League last group stage game last year, where TFC, on the back of one certain João Plata, won the game and made it to the knockout stages. And that brings me to the last point, and that is the very, very weird case of João Plata right now. Here's what I know, and what I know is probably far from complete. But if you look at Plata's contract, if you look at the list of Major League Soccer players right now, he's only being paid $50,000 thereabouts. He's not being paid a big wage. TFC paid over, from what I'm hearing, well over $300,000 in allocation money to Plata's agent in Ecuador to actually secure the loan deal. It's a loan deal. He's not technically a TFC player. He's actually, for want of a better term, he's owned by his agent. So the agent has the right to recall him. And that looks to be, again, there was some confusion, I think, yesterday. They did a good job of summing it up in today's Toronto Star. Anyway, there appears to be some confusion right now over what's happening. But from my understanding is that the agent owns the contract. They have the right to recall him. And I think under Paul Mariner, I think it's fair to say that Plata has been a bit of an extra, a bit of a third wheel, I think, probably is a better way to say it. And I don't think he really fits into, at least over the short term, what Paul Mariner is actually looking at. You could also make a case that Plata is not exactly an MLS player either. It's a very physical league. I don't think it's unfair to actually point out that Plata prospered, relatively speaking, in Champions League play last year, where his technical gifts and his relative lack of physical stature weren't really as big of an issue as they were in Major League Soccer play, and continue to be. MLS is a very physical league, and that's something I think that a lot of people forget. Yes, Plata is young. Yes, he's on a low wage, but from my understanding, his agent is well within his rights to recall him. I think where the question comes up is if you're only looking at securing a loan deal and allocation money, that money that you can use to go above the salary cap, at least temporarily, to sign players in this league. If you're using allocation money on a loan player that can be recalled, I think it's a fair question to ask on if that's the right thing to do. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. I'm kind of leaning towards it probably not being the right thing to do. All due respect to João Plata and what he's brought to the team. I think you run an awful risk of paying a substantial amount of money. That's 300 grand if that number is right, plus his wage of 350. That's a designated player salary cap hit, ladies and gentlemen, and that's of 350 grand, which is what you pay for having a de Guzman or a Couvermans or a Frings or a Beckham or a Donovan under contract for a full year. That's what you pay against the salary cap if you have 3 DPs. So paying 350 grand thereabouts for the kid's salary and for securing them for a loan that can be blown out with a recall at any moment doesn't strike me as the most prudent use of a very, very scarce resource that could be probably put to better use elsewhere, all due respect to the kid. I wish him well. I hope that Toronto can find some way of getting something back, whether it be the player coming back or whether it be something for the asset. I don't really know if that's even possible, but I think questions have to be asked about how that deal and why that deal was actually done in the first place. So that's it. I'll have more on Plata over the coming days. I think that's going to be a very interesting story. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll have another video blog up on Wednesday after the Dallas game in Texas versus FC Dallas. Thanks again for watching, and have yourself a good day. Cheers.